We will stay dry tomorrow with good spells of sunshine. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by the BoyleSports app. Cash out and in-play betting available in the App Store and Google Play Store.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Alright, you're welcome along to Thursday's Football Show. We have Graham Hunter coming up as always in just a little while. A couple of big games for Spain over the international break, and we'll be chatting about the champions-elect at this stage, Barcelona, as well. That coming up in around about half an hour from now. But Keith Andrews has joined me in studio. How are you?
Good, thanks, Nate. How are you?
The vegan Keith Andrews.
Oh, don't you start.
What's all this about? How long have you been a vegan
Not
for?
going over again. It's your fault if you haven't done your research properly in terms of
Why,
my
is this on your
dietary
Wikipedia page?
Oh, I haven't been on that in a while, actually. I don't know. Where, unless the lads have been on. Lads, have you been on and changed that?
Why did you go vegan? Did you go vegan when you were playing?
No. I had 3 months of eating plant-based last August, September, October. No, September, October, November. Then coming up to Christmas, slackened a little bit, got into the festive spirit. Since then, I've been a little bit part-time.
You're a part-time vegan. So what does part-time mean?
I just eat a lot more veg and plant-based and grains.
But you'll have a steak if you're out.
I don't eat red meat. I haven't eaten red meat in
a
few months.
You're living. What do you eat?
Falafel's a big favourite of mine at the moment.
God.
Yeah, Kenny Cunningham was not too impressed with this either.
I can't imagine Kenny is.
Kenny literally.
Not having a pal.
Yeah, he wanted a picture.
I don't mind a bit of falafel.
Dinner. Do you?
But what meat? So if you're not eating red meat, what meat are you eating?
I'm eating a bit of fish. I'm not eating a lot of meat, full stop, but I'm eating a bit of fish. Well,
fish have no feelings.
Say again?
Fish have no feelings, so you can eat as much as you want.
I don't really want to get into it.
Is it an ethical matter, or is it a health issue?
Health majority.
Because I worked in an abattoir for a long time, and
did you?
I did, yeah. I was 15 and 16.
I might have to leave this studio, Nathan.
Yeah, it was a tough gig. Very well paying, but tough gig. Proper full-scale abattoir.
Yeah, who's tough for who? You?
Tough for me. What you had to do?
Or the animals, no?
So I wasn't tough enough to work in the proper abattoir bit, because, you know, all the blood and things like that, which wouldn't really be for me. So I was in the packaging and loading section. So I had to literally lift the giant carcasses of the sheep onto a lorry. Like 2 or 3 of them at a time.
I've got no sympathy for you.
I'm not the strongest man in the world.
You're cranking
for like 15 hours a day.
No sympathy. You need to have a look at yourself. You're a man that's aware of his diet.
And I saw this and I thought it's all perfectly fine.
You thought it was all perfectly fine?
Yeah, so I'm not a vegan. I'm just surprised that you went down that way.
Well, why are you pulling the face when you say went down that way? The world will go that way eventually.
You think you're leading the way?
No, I'm not leading the way
at all. Send us a text 53106 if you can. So what's your favourite meal now then?
I just eat a lot more grains and pulses, and I'm a lot of, you know, you're pulling face again, Nathan. You're not open-minded enough.
Night out,
closed mindset,
and Dave McIntyre.
Closed
oh my God.
mindset.
Remind me never to get stuck in a golf course with the two of you. The most boring. You did put together an hour of television earlier on.
We did.
Did you chat about this at all?
No, we didn't.
All right. You spoke a lot about Ireland, I guess.
Yes, we did. Are you
excited?
Yeah, I'm optimistic. You know, we've been through the doom and gloom now.
Have we? You see, I'm not sure we have. Martin O'Neill hasn't sat down and explained what went wrong.
He's not going to sit down and explain it. It's not his way.
Does he think anything went wrong? Like, he said he wouldn't change his substitutions at half time.
Yeah.
Like, is he looking at this as sort of a freak result, whereas actually it wasn't a freak, it was an inevitability with the style of football we've been playing for the previous years?
It was inevitable in terms of the team selection, the substitutions from half time, and being a little bit cavalier in the way we played and leaving space for the one world-class talent that was on show in Christian Eriksen. We would have had criticisms of him if he didn't try something at half-time, but that was a little too cavalier for my liking. From where we are now, Nathan, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking there's opportunities for players. That's the biggest word of the week for me. There's a huge clamour for, can we get young players into the squad? Where's the young blood? I've seen at close quarters over the last couple of years, some of the young players, they are not ready. The only one that, in my opinion,
the guys that are playing with the under-21s who are actually doing pretty well in their
They are doing very well with Noel King and the 21s, but they're fine where they are at the moment. As soon as you pop them up into a senior squad, the spotlight goes on them. The only one that is ready is in the squad.
Declan Rice.
Yeah.
You made your debut in a friendly against Poland, which I think was one of the November games.
November, yeah. That's right.
Is this the dream scenario actually for new players coming into the squad, that it is a long training camp where you have 5-6 days together, where there's what was your initial way you were thrown in? Was it a 2-3 day camp where did you really feel a pressure going in that I have to deliver here if I'm going to stay in the squad?
I felt pressured a month before. I don't know whether you remember, it was a B International. I think it was the last B International. We played Nottingham Forest in Dalymount Park.
Yeah, was that it? Yeah.
So again, I was chatting to Dave about this earlier. There's not a lot of excitement around this squad. There's not a lot around this game, and players that have come in, they're coming in and they're not particularly fashionable names, playing for fashionable clubs. That B International for me, I imagine the vast majority of the country were going, we don't give a damn about Ireland B playing Nottingham Forest. It was the biggest game in my life because I had to take the opportunity. So I keep saying about opportunity. These players have opportunities.
Did Trapattoni speak to you before that game? Was he managing?
He was managing it, yeah. So all the lads on the periphery game, players that had little game time maybe. And I just remember thinking, I have to take this chance. That game, I just turned 28. So obviously you're kind of last chance saloon territory. And you just have to make the most of what you're given. And I remember going into that game thinking, right, everything doesn't go to plan in terms of on the ball. Sometimes your passing can be a little bit off. For whatever reason, I just remember thinking, you make sure you don't leave anything out there. So I gave absolutely every single training session, set a marker, nailing into players, what he would want from his midfielders. Looked at who was in midfield before, Glenn Whelan, Stephen Reid. He liked to play in a very responsible. We all know how he wanted to play now, but back then obviously it was still kind of finding its feet. Played quite well in the B International, got kept into the squad for the game off the back of that. Wasn't part of the squad, and the next month made me debut in that friendly against Poland.
Why don't we have B Internationals anymore? That was a decent team. I'm just looking at it.
Oh yeah, go on, remind me.
Murphy in goal. I'm going to say Joe Murphy.
Brian Murphy. Say. Might have been Joe Murphy, possibly, yeah.
And Kieran Westwood came out at half time. Back four of Kevin Foley, Stephen Ward, Darren O'Dea and Alex Bruce.
Yeah, I thought Alex Bruce played, yeah.
Midfield of Darren Gibson, Keith Andrews, Wes Houlihan, and who else played? Andy Keogh, Anthony Stokes and Caleb Folan. Shane Long came off the bench. Sean Scannell
as well. He's close to declaring. Did he declare for Northern Ireland?
Yeah, he's thinking about it right now. Still with... Did he leave Huddersfield? I'm going to say yes.
Sure.
We'll go yes, he did.
He might have.
So, but when it's a longer camp like this, then, like, are you looking for new players to come in and with this new era feel to it? And these aren't kids. Are you expecting more from them than if they were 19, 20? Are you expecting somebody like Enda Stevens or Matt Doherty to take on more responsibility than they otherwise ordinarily would?
I am, because I think when you look at someone 19, 20, 21 around that age, you think, okay, did they show me glimpses? Did they show me what they're capable of? Because it's a longer road for them.
Is it more difficult for these guys than it was for you? Because, so as you said, Trapattoni had a set way he wanted the team to play, and what he was looking for were individuals who could fit into that style, who could follow instruction very well. Who knows what Martin O'Neill's looking for?
Yeah, and I think depending on what position you're playing, obviously dictates that. If I was one of the... So if I was coming into this squad as Alan Brown, Alan Judge, Hogan, Maguire, any of the new ones, Stevens, Williams, Matt Doherty, I would be looking at players that Martin picks all the time. What are they bringing to the table? The one thing that they're bringing is passion, without a shadow of a doubt. The likes of Duffy, James McLean, the players that he plays more often than not. In terms of the individual requirements, the age they are now, a lot of them, we've already highlighted that they're not babies. They've played 100, 200 games in England. Go and ask. Don't be shy about this. If you're getting the opportunity, or even within training sessions, if you're playing 11v11s, ask what is required from you. What do you want? Martin, can I have a word, please? Roy, Seamus, whatever coach it is relevant to your position. I'm not quite sure. Should I be leaving that area? Do you want me to go and press? Ask the little details. don't leave any stone unturned in terms of the opportunity you've been given here this week.
Is that really their management style though? Everything we hear actually is that they want the players to take responsibility for themselves.
Yeah, but the players have to know what they want from them. So if you're playing as a centre midfielder, someone like Alan Brown, for instance, he is pure energy. So at times I would imagine it's hard for him to sit in a midfield 5 or whatever it is and shuffle across and use that tactical nous and nullify spaces, be aware of runners behind you. He wants to go and press. Now if he's doing that all the time in training, Martin might think, I can't play him in a 2. He vacates the area. So ask the question. Ask Roy Keane, ask Martin, what do you want me? If we're playing in a 2, what are you expecting of me? You know, is it a trigger? Do I go and someone else goes, or do I set the tempo by going and pressing?
So sacrifice your own game if needs be.
You have to stay in the squad. You've got to play to whatever tactics the manager's employing, system, personnel. It's not about Alan Brown, it's not about Alan Judge, it's not about Matt Doherty. To a degree,
our coaches and managers generally thinking like that when they're looking at how they will select a team of, well, if I had everybody available, this is how I would want to play, so who would fit in for him if he's not there? Is that so? Whoever plays at left back, should they be looking at what Stephen Ward does and thinking, that's the game I want to play? Now people might say Stephen Ward at times makes mistakes, criticise him, particularly when he's playing with Ireland, but actually Martin O'Neill picks him for every game.
Yeah, because he's reliable. I think that's one of the biggest things that Martin wants from his players, the fact that he can rely on players to carry out a job, and consistency. He doesn't want players, especially in defensive areas, he doesn't want players that are going to be 9 out of 10 in 1 week and then 4 or 5 the next. You can't have that in those areas of the pitch, and what Stephen Ward brings is a level of consistency to his game.
Should we pick a system right now, tomorrow, and stick with it all the way through until 2020?
I like a bit of flexibility within that.
We've spoken about this before, of playing to our strengths, and we clearly are lacking in attacking, certainly in numbers even. There's only 3 of them in the squad, Maguire, Hogan and Long, but defensively actually we look quite sound. Should he be thinking
3 at the back you go with?
Duffy, Clark, Rice, there's your back 3 for future, which also plays to your strengths of Seamus Coleman and Stephen Ward as well, as wing backs.
Yeah, and I think even added on to that, you know, obviously Seamus has had a terrible injury in the last year. Excuse me. You've got good options as second choice, third choice wing backs.
Matt Doherty.
Yeah, Matt Doherty as well played left back for Wolves last season, unbelievably well. Now you're taking away from his game if you do play him, but he's so comfortable on the ball. He will be named in the Championship Team of the Year without a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion. He's been that impressive. He's added goals to his game in recent times as well. But in terms of that back three, I'm with you. I like the look of that. And even Long as well, Darragh Lennon coming into the squad from Blackburn, whether he'll play I'm not so sure, but it's a good opportunity for him. Left wing back, if you don't want to play Matt Doherty there and don't play a square peg in a round hole, Enda Stevens has had another magnificent year at Sheffield United. Really good year off the back of moving from Portsmouth.
So is Enda Stevens for Sheffield United playing more as a straightforward regular left back, or is he more bomb forward?
Sheffield United's wing backs play like wingers. Right? Picture this. Left-sided centre-half on Friday evening against Turkey. We have Kieran Clark. Enda Stevens is a left wing-back, right? In an attacking sense, as soon as that goes into the opposition half, right? Enda Stevens on the ball, coming into just past the halfway line. The way Sheffield United play would be Kieran Clark making an overlap. Exactly. It is as attacking as you're going to... We're not going to get that tomorrow night. But if Enda Stevens gets a go tomorrow night, I think people will see someone who will adapt to that environment very, very well. Seamless. I think his temperament is very good. Physically good. On the ball, going forward. I think he will get a go tomorrow night.
How do you go about keeping the players motivated, or motivating players at this time of the year when we're still 2.5 years away from 2020? We're 18 months away from proper qualification.
I think it's very easy, Nate. Very, very easy.
You don't think that's ever a problem?
No, I think players that come in, they have it in abundance because they want it. They want to stay in the squad. They know there's certain players missing. The retirees, whether that happens or not, few players injured, whatever. And the ones that are already in the squad, are nailed in the squad, look, they've got players coming in trying to take their spots, take their berths. So it's just a natural kind of evolution of this is where we are at the moment. Okay, the competitive games aren't too near, but you can do yourself a lot of harm in these so-called meaningless friendlies.
Yeah, ultimately everyone wants to be in a position that we're building up for 2020, and when we're looking back at where things started, it was, do you remember that game against Turkey that everyone has forgotten about? 4 of these players made their debut that week.
Exactly. Well, go back to before 2016. Go back to the Swiss friendly in March. Who am I thinking of? Duffy, unbelievable, man of the match, nailed it down. Just nailed his place down, and he didn't get chosen to start in the Euros, but because of that friendly in March,
he knew he could trust him.
Exactly. So going into the Italian game, I need something here. I'm putting Duffy in. Colossal. And he took his opportunity, and that's what some of these players need to do tomorrow night.
There are plenty of other friendlies taking place with the teams who've actually qualified for the World Cup. We'll talk to Graham about Spain's games. They're playing Germany and Argentina over the next couple of nights, which will be well worth watching. As well as that, you have Ronaldo against Salah, with Portugal taking on Egypt, and England taking on the Netherlands tomorrow night. You were chatting about this with Dave earlier. I'm very interested to look at the way Gareth Southgate is going about this, because so it seems as though he's picking players on form.
Yeah.
The one that stands out for me is the centre-backs, where he's gone with players like James Tarkowski and Alfie Mawson, left out Gary Cahill, who's not really seeing much game time at Chelsea, and also left out somebody like Chris Smalling. Now, I do understand maybe Smalling and Cahill haven't had their best seasons, but with all their experience at the very top level, are they not still more reliable at international level than two guys, well, particularly in Alfie Mawson's case, someone who's playing for a side in a relegation battle, and James Tarkowski, who's with Burnley, where maybe there's not as much focus on you as there is?
I think this is twofold. Just staying with the centre halves, he's going to play a three at the back in the World Cup in Russia. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So in possession, he wants the two wider centre halves to be able to be stepping into midfield, committing one of the midfielders. So comfortable on the ball, have to be comfortable on the ball. Smalling isn't comfortable on the ball at that level. He's a good defender when his head's on it. Cahill, yeah, he's decent on the ball, but I think some of these players are a lot better on the ball. Harry Maguire, Alfie Mawson is very good on the ball. Really, really good. I think Tarkowski is decent on the ball, but he plays in a side where it's not really expected of him to be able to step into midfield. I think he's gone with players that are bang on form. I think he looks at them and he thinks, okay, Alfie Mawson, you're bottom of the league. You have to defend a lot more than Chris Smalling does at Manchester United, than Gary Cahill does at Chelsea, because they're under a lot more pressure. I think if Alfie Mawson or Tarkowski slotted into a Manchester United team or a Chelsea team, as long as they were able to deal with the enormity of playing for a club like that, they'd be on par.
But has that example not already happened? Michael Keane, who's not in this squad.
He struggled with the move, though. He struggled with the move.
Well, I suppose has he struggled with the move, or actually with a totally different style of play, where Everton defend further up the pitch? Actually, his lack of pace has been exposed, and that's ultimately what's costing him. Where with Burnley, with Tarkowski, and again, even trying to flip what you're saying about Alfie Mawson, England, we don't know how England are going to get on, but they're probably not going to have to defend as much as Swansea do.
Not in two of the games. Obviously against Belgium they will.
They may have to, but it's a very different type of defensive mindset you need for those type of games. So firstly, they're probably going to have to play further up the pitch. So they're bringing the ball out from not the edge of their area, but up over the halfway line, which is what Gareth Southgate will expect, rather than when you're with Swansea. But also, they're not going to have to defend as much, which brings other problems. Your concentration needs to be a whole lot better. They're used to bang, 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 we're throwing ourselves into challenges. You need a very different mindset. And how do you know if they have that if they're not playing for one of the better teams?
Look, it's this week and these games are that opportunity to see how they deal with, obviously in training, but then in the game as well. If Tarkowski plays and he's like a fish out of water, then you know. He already knows what Smalling can do. He knows what Cahill can do. What is the point in playing with? Test him this week. Out of those players available, I think the ones that are in pole position are Gomez right-sided centre-half, Stones and Harry Maguire. I think that's your back three.
Right.
So I think Tarkowski and Mawson...
Phil Jones has to come back in as well, who I think he name-checked as well.
He did,
one of those if he's
so
fully
he
fit.
comes back in without a shadow of a doubt. So in terms of Smalling and Cahill, I think they're struggling now. But I think, again, goes back to that word. It's an opportunity for Mawson and Tarkovsky.
Gomez has been sort of stuck in a little bit of limbo over the last few weeks because Alexander-Arnold has come in at right back and Klopp seems to prefer what he brings in attack, even though there are still some issues defensively. And Gomez had made bad mistakes in that right back position where maybe a lack of awareness at times positionally.
I don't think he's a right back, I think this is his best position, the right side of a 3, and eventually he'll be able to play in a 2. Right. I think he's perfect for it, I really do, in terms of size, mobility, and from playing right back as well, he's comfortable stepping in like we've already spoke about.
In the great confidence of England going to World Cup, there's always some reason to be cheerful, and this time it seems to be that there is no confidence, that actually we're going for once with no expectation whatsoever, with a very average group who maybe connect. This
has been the first time ever. I lived over there for 20 years, 21 years. This is the first time ever I've witnessed there's just nothing about it. They're just not expecting.
How can there be?
Feck off. Well, so I'm obviously in the minority because I'm looking at their squad and what I'm seeing is a group of players that think together we'll be a better unit. We look back at previous generations and that golden generation, they achieved nothing. Absolutely nothing because of egos, because of the north-south divide, the niggle between Chelsea and Man United, or Chelsea and whoever else. Yeah, it was just nonsense. They couldn't click, they couldn't gel. It was a big issue. Whereas I'm looking now and I'm thinking abundance of pace, wing back suits you. The style of system that you're choosing suits the players available to you. Wing backs in Walker, Trippier, Rose, whoever's going to be playing. Top end of the pitch, you base whatever behind that. You've got your back 3 and your wing backs. Then you get Harry Kane in the team, and then you work out the best way of getting him goals behind that, and you come up with what you think, whether it's a holder, runners, width with Sterling and Rashford, maybe whatever you think, depending on the opposition.
So if you have Kane in the middle, Sterling and Rashford either side, Dele Alli just in behind,
very attacking but possible, absolutely, certainly against the not you wouldn't play that against Belgium, but the other 2 games you certainly would.
You probably couldn't play wing backs if you were
3-4-3.
Yeah. Then Dele Alli is one of your central midfielders.
Probably not. You've got to sacrifice something. So one aspect of that he has to be thinking of is Harry Kane, Dele Alli at club level. Harry Kane central, Dele Alli playing from the left, coming in. It's very effective. We've seen it time and time again. So surely that must be something he's thinking of. But then obviously if you want to go out and out with Sterling, Rashford, they certainly provide at Lallana, maybe in wide areas, but not as much pace, obviously.
Yeah, so basically a pretty solid base is what Southgate needs, and then you just pray to God Harry Kane has the tournament of his life, scores 6 or 7 goals.
He's the one. He is the one, isn't he?
Yeah. Any other games that you're looking forward to? Like, we can build these up as Ronaldo against Salah. Like, are you looking at Salah in his form over the last few weeks and suddenly thinking actually he is next in line to take over from Messi and Ronaldo? Has he been that good?
I think he has been that good, yeah, absolutely.
Is he going to be found out?
At the World Cup?
No, is he going to be found out over the next year, 18 months, in terms of, I don't want to say he's not a one-trick pony by any stretch, but that defenders cop on to the way he plays?
I think the way he is playing, though, in terms of he's that high on confidence that even when you see him in those congested areas in the 18-yard box, players not account, he's chopping it left, right, the different types of finishes, banging it into the corner, toe pokey ones. Obviously the threat of running in behind, that run which we've seen time and time again this season, of inside the left back in between him and the left sided centre half. I think his game has come on, even as the season has gone on. Can he replicate it? I don't think so, but I wouldn't put it past him because he's jumped every hurdle that's been put in front of him this season.
Yeah, it is a real sign of great strikers that they get the ball into the back of the net no matter how. You see it with Harry Kane as well, how often he doesn't strike the ball perfectly, and actually that works in his favour. It sort of bobbles over the goalkeeper's hands. And do we spend too much time coaching strikers the wrong way to hit it perfectly?
Yeah, maybe. And you look at the greatest strikers down through the years, the likes of Robbie Fowler, the way they finish, you're right, shooting through legs, not going for that perfect strike, getting the shot off, taking the shot early before the goalkeeper's actually set, before the defender's expecting it. And he in particular this season, I've been amazed. I'd like to presume most people, but magnificent season.
Yeah. So plenty of football to look forward to this week. Listen, it's friendlies. We'll get there. We'll get through it. The Premier League's
I'm only bothered with one.
The Champions League is back next week. We are going to talk about a couple more of those friendlies, how Spain are fixed 3 months out from the World Cup, and we'll chat a bit about Barcelona with Graham Hunter next.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by the BoyleSports app. Cash out and in-play betting available in the App Store and Google Play Store.
News Talk Breakfast.
There are people also voting with their feet and leaving the public service
that is
in
true.
critical areas of healthcare and education. Many of our school teachers are going to the United Kingdom. Many of our medical professionals are leaving to go to the United States and Canada. And we've got to get real with this situation. And one of the issues that's really creeping into this is this pay inequity, pay inequality. And the investment in recruiting people over the last number of years has also been questionable.
If you say the words often enough, I suppose eventually you come to believe it. But if you examine the facts thoroughly enough, there's no basis for it.
News Talk Breakfast. Weekday mornings at 7.
In association with AIR.
Hear the full News Talk Breakfast podcast at newstalk.com and on the News Talk app.
You know what you deserve? A relaxing spring break. And at Portmarnock Hotel and Golf Links, we have 2 great offers to choose from. Book a spring escape and enjoy bed and breakfast in the Seaview bedroom from just €129 till the end of April. Or enjoy some Easter delight with bed and breakfast, dinner for 2, plus a bottle of bubbly from just €255. T's and C's apply. Book now at portmarnock.com.
Midweeks are made for Whitefriar Grill on Ainger Street with great value steaks and specials every night. Mix it up with a Whitefriar mixed grill. Duck out for some duck shepherd's pie. Or share a mouth-watering Angus porterhouse steak for 2. See what's for dinner tonight at whitefriargrill.ie. Whitefriar Grill. Graw Moor.
If you work in sports business, you'll know the games won or lost in digital and social. And on March 28th, be in the crowd when leaders from the sports business world converge on the Aviva Stadium for the Fan Engagement Conference Dublin, hosted by Sport Ego, with talks on the latest global trends from virtual reality to esports, plus a chance to learn from Celtic, Everton, the LTA, Aviva Premiership and more. You'll definitely be a fan. Buy your ticket now. Visit sportego.ie/FEC Dublin.
Find yourself correctly predicting the
future.
Knowing what people are going to do
before they do it.
Finishing other people's
sentences.
No.
You can't predict the future. When overtaking a cyclist, allow plenty of room. For zones of 50k and under, allow at least 1 metre. For zones over 50k, allow at least 1.5 metres. You can't read the mind of a cyclist, and they can't read yours. Don't second guess. You may not get a second chance. From the Road Safety Authority.
Maybe you're just worn out. Work and the grind of daily life is getting to you. But maybe there's a different reason. If you're a man over 50 experiencing symptoms such as tiredness, loss of libido, and feeling down, you may be one of 8% of men who has testosterone deficiency. The good news is it can be treated. Talk to your doctor and find out more at whatistd.ie, a disease awareness campaign by Besants Healthcare.
You learn something new every day. Did you know that the Nissan Qashqai is Ireland's best-selling crossover of all time? That unlike other crossovers, it also comes in petrol. It's Ireland's best-selling petrol crossover, in fact. Did you know that you can get up to €4,500 scrappage on a new petrol or diesel Qashqai, but only until March 31st? And did you know that you burn more calories listening to radio than watching TV? Go you! Talk to your local Nissan dealer today. Nissan. Innovation that excites. Terms and conditions apply.
Virgin Media is where awesome entertainment comes together. Discover Mutants, Cops and Queens on Sky Cinema. Massive Premier League action on Sky Sports. Plus loads of unmissable box sets on demand. And it all comes with Ireland's fastest in-home Wi-Fi. The Full House Bundle. Just €99 a month for 12 months. Search Virgin Full House.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. €135 a month thereafter. Ireland's fastest in-home Wi-Fi is awarded by Ookla. Offer ends 30th of April 2018.
At Expert Electrical, we're always bringing you the latest appliances and technology. The Dyson Cyclone V10 cord-free vacuums are now available in store. With a powerful new motor, extended runtime and larger bin, the Dyson Cyclone V10 is the future of vacuuming. There's a local expert near you. Find yours at expert.ie.
This week at M&S, indulge in a delicious dine-in for 2 with a main, side, dessert and a bottle of wine for just €14. M&S. Spend it well. Terms, conditions and exclusions apply, subject to availability. Over 18s only. Please drink responsibly. See in-store for details.
Murphy's Law, Article 214. When your toddler learns to flush things down the toilet, they'll start with your keys.
When anything that can go wrong does go wrong, you need a simple solution.
123.ie Comprehensive Car Insurance has you covered when your keys are given an unexpected tour of your pipes. Simply put, we'll replace them as soon as possible. Key replacement is now free with new Comprehensive Car Insurance. Buying online saves you 10%. 123.ie. Simple is smarter. Acceptance criteria, T's and C's apply. 123 Money Limited, trading as 123.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. RSA Insurance Ireland DAC provides 123.ie car insurance. Free key care is a limited offer with a cover limit of €1,500.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
It is that time of a Thursday evening. Good evening, Graham Hunter.
Nathan, baby.
How are you?
Just ebullient as usual. It's the international break. Spain are preparing for world domination in Russia. Why wouldn't things be gorgeous where I am?
Do you enjoy the international breaks? Do you feel you're out of your weekly routine?
I'm going to take that aggressive beginning to the interview the way that you mean it. You already know that. No, are you kidding? I'm hovering around street corners saying, listen, baby, I need a fix. I'm hurting. Bring me club football. Bring me Champions League football. Look, it's interesting. When you get a weekend like this, and so many of the genuinely A-class sides are meeting, there's a degree of interest because it sets you up for understanding who's in form, what formations will they use. It's really the build-up for Russia now. So, yeah, there's interest. For sure there is. And by June, I'm really hot to trot for the whole competition. I'm going to be in Krasnodar with Spain at their base and then travelling to games and whatever. So international football's fabulous, but when you lay it flat against club football right now with trophies on the line, then what I want to do is club football's a page turner. It's one of them books where you see the review in the back and it says you won't be able to put it down.
I might talk to you briefly about international football then before we get on to what's happening in La Liga at the moment. So Spain are playing Germany this weekend in a friendly. The Spanish squad, Diego Costa's back in. Marcos Alonso's got his first call-up of his senior career, but not such good news for the rest of the Chelsea contingent. Fabregas, Pedro and Alvaro Morata left out. Morata in particularly quite interesting because he's got a goal-scoring record at international level, and so often we talk about players and trying to take them as more than what just happens on the pitch, and Alvaro Morata has gone through a huge amount off the pitch. One of his best friends killed in a car crash. He's gone through a pretty barren spell in front of goal. Is it a surprise within Spain that the management haven't looked past that and have sort of looked to his goal scoring record with the international side and not given him another chance?
Nathan, you could go to the textbook. You don't have to make this about Lopetegui in Spain and Morata. The textbook that you and I know inside out says when a footballer of this importance to a particular squad, one who's got a relationship dating back to trophy lifts with the coach, is not in the team very much, irrespective of form. When a guy's not playing, a coach can do one of two things. He can say, look, my faith in you is absolutely umbilical. There's no breaking it. If your club manager's stupid enough to drop you, you're coming to these friendlies. Here's my little present to you. Here's my little payback to you. We've had good times in the past. I know you're going to be there for me when I absolutely need you in the World Cup semi-final against Germany. So I'm going to give you a run out in Dusseldorf against them. Or you look at the situation and you say, he's better served staying with his club. He's better served having a little jar of cold water poured over his head. He's better served watching the next two games, which includes a really beautiful match against Argentina in the Wanda Metropolitano on Tuesday, featuring Messi, we hope. And say to him, how much do you want this? Can you set aside your troubles? Do you want to be with Spain in Russia come June the 3rd, 4th, whenever they arrive there? Lopetegui's chosen that, Nathan, and I think said, here's a spoonful of sugar with the medicine, because he immediately, in his first press conference, which is in the build-up to the Germany game, said, yeah, listen, Morata has really serious chances of still being with us in Russia. So the door is open, the words are sweet. The message at the moment is sort yourself out, get in shape, push your way into the team, start scoring goals, which obviously he did in the FA Cup semi-final. I don't think a priori, sitting here right now, you can say Lopetegui's done the right thing or the wrong thing. What he's done, I like in managers, he's done something that's decisive, that's shown his position, shown his power, but also reached out an olive branch to the player. My guess, my estimate, is that by June, so long as Morata's fit, this will prove to be a wise move.
Right, because it's hard not to feel a large degree of sympathy for Morata with how the last few months have gone, and when you're dropped from the international side and it is that jug of cold water that's poured over you, you go back to the club side and really it doesn't feel as though he is a manager who's going to put his arms around the shoulder there either. He's sort of caught in the crossfire with what's going on with Conte and the hierarchy, and that actually, like, being at Chelsea for this international break, there's no great guarantees that it's a wonderful place to be, that it's the sort of place that really helps a player find a bit of form right now.
Yeah, Nathan, it's not about the club atmosphere these days. It's about Morata and his head. It's also the case that while you've described Conte adequately, it was really interesting to hear Conte over here the other week talking about Morata, saying, I am happy with the efforts he's making. I'm happy with the commitment he's showing. This is a great striker in the making. And instantly he plays against Leicester, gets the goal, they're through to the semi-finals. It's not about how Cobham is right now, what the atmosphere is like. It's about Morata dealing with his own psychology, his own motivation, digging deep, deciding in his own mind whether he, acutely wants to be with La Roja, with a shot at least of winning the World Cup. They wouldn't necessarily be everybody's number one favourites, but they'd be in a group of four. And therefore, that's the argument I'm making, that Lopetegui knows Morata, not as a club manager, but they've been at tournaments before, and everybody who's worked around Alvaro Morata will tell you that on form, everything is sunny. He's jaunty, he's funny, he's sociable. He's the kind of player who, and tournaments are won not just on the pitch, they're won in the build-up, they're won off the pitch, they're won in how people get on with each other, the atmosphere in the camp, and Morata can help that. I know it's not the reputation he's got amongst the English media, but he's a different kind of guy than he's portraying for the circumstances that you've named, Nathan. And overall, Lopetegui is saying to him, here's the line in the sand, be ready, start competing, push to make sure that Giroud doesn't start, push to get goals, push to make sure that the sprint between now and the end of May is in your favour. And I think that Lopetegui, if he sees that and hears that, and probably at very worst goes to meet Morata, is desperate not to have to leave this guy out, because he is literally handmade for the style of play of this group.
Would you say something similar about Diego Costa? Does Lopetegui share our love for Diego Costa, or where does he fit in potentially to how Spain might want to play this summer?
You're full of wit and wisdom today. You know the answer to that already. No. Diego Costa has an enormous amount to prove. This is still a very technical, very pass and move based squad. Iniesta the other day was saying, listen, I don't care whether we play with a 9 or we don't play with a 9. We have the capacity to play about 4 or 5 different systems, but with or without a 9, it's fine. It's clear that tied at the top of the goal scoring charts since Lopetegui took over, and has played an unbeaten stretch in 2 years until these 2 internationals, at least against 2 proper sides, each of whom will take the tests seriously. They are still unbeaten, and the big scorers have been Morata and David Silva. So Diego Costa adjusting to the way that these really technical footballers around him, whether it's Silva, Iniesta, whether it's Asensio, Isco, Nathan, it's not his 40. It's not even his 39. But is he somebody who can give Spain what they don't have? Then clearly it is, yeah. He's clearly somebody who, against certain opponents, can tie rivals up. Whether he is patient enough, whether he has enough technique to play this pass and move and give and go and create space that the rest of them play, there's a big, big question. Therefore, I suspect it's part of Lopetegui's reasoning that it's useful for him to see Costa, who, remember, invalided himself out of the key part of the qualifying campaign by saying to Chelsea, I'm basically on strike, and then pushing for his move to Atleti, being out of the game between August and January. And therefore, Lopetegui needs to understand, what can he ask of Costa? What can he expect of Costa? Therefore, again, without being a PR man for La Roja, because there are potential problems surrounding both Costa and Morata, the option that Lopetegui's chosen, that initially Costa probably plays the bulk of these two games, again, I think is a good one, Nathan.
Is it important few days then for Lopetegui also in terms of his relationship with Costa and figuring out, you mentioned patience maybe on the pitch, but also Costa's patience off the pitch, because if they are going to play a certain style, maybe Diego Costa at times this summer is the plan B when they need to try something else if things aren't going wrong, and figuring out 3, 4 or 5 week spells in Russia whether Diego Costa would be suited to that role?
No, it's one of the things he does have probably too much of. He's a big Baloo the Bear. Remember, I was with the Spain squad, cheap by Jowl, flying with them, same hotels, training every day in the Brazil World Cup when Diego Costa had broken through, was playing his first tournament for Spain, and his ability to get on with people and to be fun and to have set a good atmosphere, a collegiate, a fraternal atmosphere when you're away from home in a foreign country for 7 weeks. I saw that at first hand. If anything, it was too comfortable for him. He was laughing and joking. He made friends quickly, he's very tight with Sergio Ramos, irrespective of the fact that he said last night, we've made a pact that when it comes to the Madrid derby, which is heading our way soon, we're going to kick lumps out of each other. They're still really tight. I mean, it's the Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon odd couple of the La Selección. The other one, Sergio Busquets, bright, serious, kind of the opposite of Costa on the pitch. There, it's all calculated and Spassky and Fischer, whereas Costa is like literally a happy little bullock running around bumping into people and scoring if he can. Busquets and Diego Costa are great chums when they get together for the international squad. He can be a valuable member of how you travel, how you recuperate, how you train, what life in the hotel is like, who's betting, who's reading, who's playing games, who's taking the piss, who's stealing, cheese and meat from the kitchens at night in the team restaurant, blah blah blah. That's all fine. The key issues for Costa, honestly, Nathan, are has he learned enough in the 4 years since he showed plainly that he wasn't ready in Brazil? Can he adapt? My bet is yes, that he's grown up, and as long as he's fit, I think he can be a guy who says, whether I play or whether I come on, now it's about winning.
I want to mention Barcelona as well, because they've gone 11 points clear at the top, just 9 games left. 2-0 win over Athletic Bilbao last weekend. Athletic Madrid losing 2-1 to Villarreal. It's probably hit the stage where we can talk about Barcelona, if it hadn't already, as champions-elect. Reading about Ernesto Valverde when he took the job, and you were writing saying if he's going to succeed, he's going to need to be clever, subtle, a smart manager, and he'd also need to win Messi's trust. Has he ticked all those boxes? And if he has, how's he gone about it?
Well, you're ticking my boxes, Nathan, because I'd forgotten having written that, and I'm awfully pleased to be reminded.
May of last year, you predicted all this.
Bloody hell! Look, let's set my facetiousness aside. It's really been a special project, because to take this squad with the loss of Neymar, the specific kinds of additions that were brought into the squad, and to make them as robust and organised and hard to beat as this, has been an achievement. And it's really important to admit that 5-6 weeks into the project, I really was not appreciating the brand of football. They seemed to be forgetting the value of passing to each other. The fluency wasn't there, and I began to doubt. What has emerged is that those were false doubts. What has emerged is that he's been brilliant in saying we will rip up the old Cruyff, Guardiola, Tito Villanova playbook, and we will play 2 men in central midfield. They use I don't know if it's used in Ireland much, Nathan, but they use the basketball term of pivot and double pivot. Now, to have 2 guiding, organising, controlling midfielders in the centre midfield in the Xavi Iniesta days was verboten. It was just completely not on. Now, not only has Busquets thrived from it, so has Iniesta to his left, but Rakitic, the man who I'm talking about, is having his best season for Football Club Barcelona. His most mature, his most influential season. And that is a fundamental part of why they've worked so well. Around those, there are different stories that support those words of mine that you quoted, in that he has been subtle. I asked both Paulinho and Vermaelen one-on-one about it, and they said, listen, he's a guy who doesn't interfere in training. He's not on your back all the time. But when he speaks, it's worthwhile, and we listen. We apply what he says. When you get that kind of connection between a coach and his players, it's important. And the last point is Messi. Messi has 100% bought into Valverde's personnel style, his coaching style, his management, and their joint goals have met in the middle, which has made this powerful. Whether it's a treble-winning side, Nathan, I think there's an awful lot of arguing before we come to that conclusion. But is the gap at the top of La Liga sufficient for them to win the title? Yes, I think it is. And should they win the cup final against Sevilla? Yes, on April 21st, they should. So it's a hell of a beginning so far for Ernesto Valverde.
Something we've really seen under Valverde is Lionel Messi be able to show his full range of passing, and it was probably something that I don't want to say was underappreciated, because we appreciate every aspect of his game, but dropping into deeper positions at times, becoming more involved in the game. And something else you said was, back in May, how will Valverde adapt to managing Neymar? Now, that problem was ultimately taken out of his hands. Did that fall in his lap in a way, in that he was able to concentrate more on Messi and give Messi a greater role in the team?
In several ways, Nathan. I really like your analysis, because looking back retrospectively, is it what doesn't kill you makes you stronger? Maybe we can apply that word because, and we can break it down. First of all, Jordi Alba, again, like Rakitic, and this is a theme. You can go through this squad, this team, Nathan, and right now and for the last 4 or 5 months, it's hard to find a serious player who isn't at or near his best form. That's really rare. Secondly, I was saying about Alba and he said in an interview with Mundo Deportivo this week that this is his best form ever, his best season ever. Neymar, although Alba has said specifically, I wish we still had him, he's out of his way. That left-sided channel is not now a place where, when Alba gets 2/3 of the way out the pitch, he has to cede the ball immediately to his superior, to Neymar. And therefore, Alba's connection with Messi has flourished. His enjoyment of his football has flourished. He's kept fitter. He's changed his diet. He felt motivated by the opportunity of Neymar going. Jordi Alba, form of his life. Messi has done what great sports people, men or women, do. Faced with a challenge, faced with somebody basically saying, well, will the whole be less than some of the parts now that you've gone to 2 Suarez and Messi rather than 3? He's reacted, he's dug deep, he's played some of the best football of the last 4 or 5 years that Messi's produced. He's shown much more individual leadership. He's taken Dembele under his wing and begun to act like a captain. In his interview with an Argentinian television station the other day, he said, I dribble less, I try to make the actions less about me. I try to think more and more about the team every month, every season. That's showing. And yes, for Valverde, managing the group undoubtedly has been easier without Neymar, who is not a brat. He's not a stomper and a thrower of teacups in the dressing room. But he does lack the utter, naked, hard-nosed drive to sacrifice anything for victory day by day, not just in matches. And therefore, the atmosphere has changed without Neymar, for sure. And managing Messi and Suarez has been easier as a result.
Graham, great stuff as always. Enjoy the international break. 2 brilliant games for Spain, Germany tomorrow night, and then Argentina, hopefully with Messi in the side to come on Tuesday. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Talk to you in a week.